What if I told you that failure actually isn't your biggest enemy? The truth is, far too many people treat setbacks like stop signs. No, my friend, they're just speed bumps. You want to know the difference between those who stay stuck and those who bounce back? It's a simple word called resilience. Today, we're going to talk about how to turn those setbacks into setups for comebacks. My name is Green-Ellis. Welcome to the Legacy Lab. What's going on, my friends? This is Green-Ellis again. Welcome to another episode of the Legacy Lab, and I'm so honored that you're here. Listen, we family, so you already know what you got to do. Get a piece of paper, get a pen, get some notes, let's get right to it, and make sure that you hit subscribe below. Point number one is this: failure is not final, it's foundational. I don't know if you've ever seen a house being built, but the first thing that they do is they dig down deep. They dig down deep so that they can set the foundation for what the house that is built on will be strong. None of you have ever wondered if whether or not the floor would cave in when you walked into your house or your apartment or your school building or your church or whatever it was. It's because the builders who took the time to build that structure focused heavily on the foundation. And this is, my friends, exactly what failures are for us. They are the foundation in which our life is built on. The only people who never experience failure are the people who never take risks. My friend, if you don't take the risk, then there is no reward. This is the difference between living your dreams and living with unfulfilled potential. You have to take the risk. But the problem is that failure doesn't feel good. And the truth is, y'all, it's not supposed to feel good. It's simply intended to get your attention so that you could learn from what you just attempted. And now, because you've learned, you can now implement what you just learned. Write this down. Every setback is a seed for an even stronger comeback. I want you to shift your mindset from I failed to I learned. Resilience is built when we use failure as a tool to build us up, as opposed to a weapon to destroy us. Now here's the truth, y'all. I mentioned it before. Failure doesn't feel good, so you may have to take a break, and that is okay. Take your break, have your moment, but don't make the mistake of letting your moment have you. You got this. I believe in you, and I'm rooting for you. Don't let failure be your final destination. Get a reward for it. Point number two is this: adjust, adapt, and advance. Write this down. Adjust, adapt, and advance. People who are successful are ones who actually fail often. But when they fail, they use that defeat as data, like we talked about last week, and they make the change. In order to master the skill of adjusting and adapting, as we mentioned before, you gotta use those defeats as data. You gotta let that fuel your fire. You have to learn from the situation, but most importantly, you have to implement what you've learned. My financial advisor says this: knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power. It's not enough just to have the experience. It's not enough just to know what I did wrong or what you did wrong. You have to make the change. You have to adapt. You have to adjust. Now, here's the problem, especially with gifted and talented people like yourself. We get so caught up in how we feel. It was a great idea, but it didn't work. It did have the potential to help a lot of people, but it did not. And it can only if you adapt, only if you make the change. I'm talking about the actual practice of changing something about what you last pursued so that you have, a better outcome. Because at the end of the day, we're in the business of advancing our lives, but when our lives advance and when we live our dreams, it doesn't just help us, y'all. It helps the people around us. The world is a much better place when all of us are doing what we were born to do. And last but certainly not least, advance. That's the actual moving forward. You applied it, but you don't get stuck in that bad memory. You take another step. You put another brick down. You take another risk. You have to move forward from where you currently are. True resilience isn't necessarily about avoiding the obstacle. It's about taking it head on as they come. I want you to remember this: as long as you are alive, you have another opportunity. So I want you to seize the opportunity, especially the one that's right in front of you. You got this. The last point is this: I want you to build your emotional endurance. Just like any other skill that's built up, right? You have to practice it. I don't know if you guys have ever been on a fitness journey, right? But when you start working out for the first time, your body goes into a bit of a shock, especially if this is something that you're not used to, right? Maybe you were inactive for a while and you're getting back to it, or maybe you've never had that type of experience in general. Your body goes through a shock. And in order for you to get stronger, in order for you to have more endurance, in order for you to get in better shape, you have to build your endurance. You have to build your muscles. And this requires, unfortunately, your muscles to break down, go through that process. It is going to be a task. But the only way to get stronger is to go through these tasks. The only way to get stronger is to work out. And so it's the same thing with your emotional endurance. Here's what it looks like practically. Every time you go through a tough time, every time you have an obstacle that you overcome, you have to have a regimen of things that you do to help you bounce back. You are not a robot. You are not Superman. You probably are the strong friend, but my friend, you ain't that strong. Ain't none of us are. I don't got no profound way to say it. I just want to be clear and frank with you. You have to have a set of boundaries that you put in place for yourself, that you revert back to, a system. What do they call it? You have to have a workout plan, things that you do to help restore and build your endurance, your emotional endurance when things are getting crazy. Because listen, you are leaving a lasting legacy. Anything that is significant, that is to be talked about, that's to impact people, is going to require a ton of work. And my friend, especially if you're first starting out, you got to be putting in that work, and you are going to be putting in that work, and it may take a toll on you. So you have to have some things that you do on a regular and consistent basis that helps to ground you, that helps to set things back in order so that you don't get emotionally fatigued. One of the things that I personally do, I am a man of faith. I'm a follower of Jesus Christ. And so prayer is something that I do on a daily basis. And I'm not talking about like saying grace for my food. I'm talking about intentional time and what I believe is the presence of God. That's something that we as followers of Jesus make a practice of, okay? In addition to that, I do things like deep breathing, or there's a book that I'm reading called Raising Emotionally Strong Boys. There's a concept called combat breathing. It's the same concept, okay? I also have a circle of counselors, okay, of people that I can run to when I need some advice, when I need to vent, when I need to be reeled back a little bit, like when I need a different perspective. I have trusted individuals who have and are living the life that I desire to live for every area of my life, my marriage, raising my children, my business, and all the other things that I do. I have these people in place that I can run to when I need a little pick-me-up, or when I need a little bit of guidance, or when I need to be told, hey, Jordan, you need to think about this a little different. I want to be very clear with you. If you're pursuing something greater than yourself, if you desire to live a life where your dreams are your reality, sometimes it is going to get lonely, and that is a part of the journey. Even though you may feel alone, you, my friend, are not alone. There is someone who has endured what you are currently enduring. This is why it's so important for me to have those people around me. And it's not like we talk every single day. I don't need to talk to them every single day. And you don't need to talk to these people every single day if you implement this in your life. You just need to have them. It's kind of like a safety net and a safety blanket. Mentors, okay? If you are a follower of Jesus, also maybe your pastor or something to that regard, a teacher, a coach. It could be any of those types of people in your life that can help to change your perspective. The greatest times where I had my greatest struggles in my career as an entrepreneur, or even prior to that, is because I had a skewed perspective and I had to see outside of what I could only see in that moment. Sometimes the problems that we go through seem a whole lot bigger than what they actually are. It's because we're so close. Sometimes it's a good practice to take a step back so that you could see the full picture. Because you've only had the experiences that you've had, you only see one side of the picture. This is why it's important to have those people around you, because they have different experiences and they can better see the full picture and speak to that part that you can't currently see. Listen, y'all, don't miss this last point. A lot of times we can easily become prideful and say, oh, well, I can do it by myself. No, you can't. If you can do it by yourself, you're selling yourself short. You're selling your legacy short. You're selling short the people who your life is destined to help. I don't want you to sell yourself or anyone else short. Get the help that you need. As I always say to you guys every single week, you have the potential for greatness. You are destined for it. but there's a journey on your way there. You got to be willing, and I believe that you are, especially if you made it to this part of the show. My name is Jordan Green-Ellis, and thank you for tuning in again. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button below and stay tuned with all things Jordan Green-Ellis and all things Legacy Lab. I'm signing out, but you already know. I'll see you next week. Stay legendary.